but football is where they throw the quarterback. Soccer. And Golden State Warriors, we're going to move Vladimir to NorCal soon enough. I'll work on him. And you called it, David.
Yeah, this seemed very logical with those minor pieces. And then there's two different approaches to this position for white, broadly speaking. One is you try and maneuver your knights to better squares quickly. The other is you try to play e4 to gain supremacy.
And the other is you just do exactly what your opponent does. And I would play queen f7 here, actually.
Sure,
because you want to castle.
Castling.
And then e4, e5. I'm not ruling that out. Castles, e4, e5.
Yeah, if e4, e5 hits the fan, you don't want your king on f8. You definitely want to be able to castle. So queen f2, queen f7. Now black has to choose between castling and e5, and e5 may be obligatory. Yeah.
And it's not trolling. Like, in some situations, actually, it's a totally legitimate. He's making the best moves.
Yeah.
At some point, obviously, white's going to, play e takes e5, and black will destabilize them. At that point, if you're memeing, you're going to play ed.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. He's trying to get into the Weissenhaus on-site tournament.
Yeah, I would hope we're not here for some memeing, but for some real top-class chess.
And here we go, because DE, and let me just show for newer play, like what happens if you engage. At some point, you're going to run into a check, and the rules of the game will stand in your way.
Yeah.
So we're
derail symmetry, queen c5, which is slightly awkward for black.
Yeah. f4 at some point too. Can be prepared. Maybe castles in f4.
I would definitely throw in queen c5. But he takes a different approach to that diagonally. He's got bishop b6, bishop a7, bishop c5. Okay. Bit of pressure introduced.
So if Jan castles, yeah, bishop c5 traps the exchange. But Jan says, yeah, go take my b6 pawn. Absolutely, help yourself. Give me the dark squares, give me the initiative, and if I'm Vladimir, I would double back and castle kingside here. I would not take on b6.
Yeah, the problem is bishop e3. If you're not going to use that bishop, then you're blocking the knight on d1. And, you're going to be regretting that you played bishop e3 if you don't get something juicy out of it.
I would consider bishop back to c1. I mean, my old coach Gregory Kaidanov called this saying sorry, where sometimes the best approach when you realize you messed up is just to retract the piece, and it's not great, you lost some tempi, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, the bishop's too important a piece to trade on c5 or b6. It's too much, in this position, a bishop is still superior to a knight.
Talk about potential energy, right? This bishop on b8, it's going to be a beast the moment white castles kingside and black finds the right time to play e4.
Okay, he tries to solve the problem. Get rid of that knight on e6, get the bishop to c5 after all.
Great move by Fedoseev.
Yeah, I think he can castle, recapture on e6 with the rook.
White is worse, but he's limited the damage. He's limited the damage of bishop e3. bishop takes a7.
Oh my goodness.
Let me show. As a matter of fact, even bishop g3 is winning, and it's even simpler because this is the mate I was talking about. Just like that.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So what's the move here? Is it f4 trying to play against the bishop?
f4 is plausible. There's also very slow bishop c2 to b3.
Your idea from earlier. 1 minute. I think Vladimir might have forgotten about that pawn. He didn't have something prepared here. He's in trouble. But
goes with f4.
okay. Bishop g4, rook e1. I don't know what the idea was there. Oh, and that's a blunder because of bishop c5.
Oh, you can't take with the rook?
Because the king slides over to g2, and it's a double attack against the bishop on h2, and the other bishop, and he's found it! Oh my god, what a turnaround. And king f3 if the rook moves back to d8. David, Jan's losing a piece here.
Wow.
This is insane.
Nepo had planned for something like king f3, g5, right? That was sort of his, king f3, bishop f4, g5.
Yeah.
There.
He just didn't realize the pawn could be left on pre, and that the rook would actually block the escape of the bishop. Bishop g4, bishop takes f8, bishop takes c2, bishop d6 also keeps the bishop trapped.
Wow, and under a minute on the clock, Fedoseev seizes his opportunity, and he's calculated several
It's
moves
over.
ahead.
Oh no, Jan had to take the bishop on f8, and he would have had some chances. Oh my gosh, what a collapse.
Oh my goodness. Decisive moment. Jan tries to collect himself, takes a sip, calculating off in the distance.
He's like, what did Spassky do in 1972 in this situation?
Yeah. Except Spassky was in Fedoseev's seat.
Oh yeah, that's true. What did Fischer do?
Yeah. What did Fischer do? He moved some pawns.
And then he
came back because it was a longer match. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if 2 games is enough.
Oh my gosh. Well, he'll have to move the bishop and then give the other one for f4, but there's too many pawns on the queen side. It's just completely, it's resignable. Borderline resignable.
I think what Fischer did was not show up for the second game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Gave him the 2-game handicap.
Yeah, just don't let Dubov anywhere near a bed. Fischer went back to take a nap.
I may have fallen asleep, said Bobby.
Well, Jan fell asleep here, and such an easy thing. He just resigns, and yeah, there's no hope here. There's no hope. After king g2, you lose a full piece. Insanity.
Wow. Incredible.